Head down.
Well, hello everybody. Let me turn this up just a smidge. Oh yo, it is Rainbow. I am here today and I will be playing a little bit of Marvel Rivals. I also will be ranting a little bit because I have feelings and they are very big and I need to externalize them before I explode. So that'll be a little bit of fun. Athena says that she will not be able to stay for most of the stream, but she may be able to pop in a little bit later, so fingers crossed for that. We're always happy to see Athena. Hi, Athena. I will stay awesome, but only if you do first. So, today I plan on ranting about Hazbin Hotel a little bit. For a little bit of background, I watched Hazbin Hotel like a little while after the first season aired, and I was a really big fan. I had been shown the pilot ages ago by my sibling, but you know, I hadn't really thought much of it at the time. I've seen internet pilots before, and while the concept was interesting, I've I'm at least familiar enough with pilots to know that the end product is probably going to be significantly different to the pilot. So I didn't really like file that away as gospel or anything. Apparently a lot of people don't. Oh, pilot of Hazbin Hotel. A lot of people don't know how pilots usually work. Either they don't watch as much animation as I do, which... fair, but mean. They either don't watch as much animation or just have not seen as many pilots as I have. And one of the things to keep in mind when it comes to a pilot is it's usually pitched before the studio that picks it up has any input in the final product. So the voices you cast are usually general impressions or maybe even placeholders. You just needed a butt in a seat who can make a voice. So I tend not to think too hard about which voices get replaced and things like that. Apparently there are a lot of people who really liked the pilot voice actors, and I can't blame them for that. The pilot voices were really good. Pilots in general are the initial pitch, yes, especially animation. Yeah. But the issue comes in when you've been picked up by a studio or a distributor. Because at that point, the needs of the distributor end up coming into play. Sorry, I'm like resting my chin on my hands and my one arm is glitching out for some reason. I don't know why it does that. The new Station Karen character VA change was for sure my most heartbreaking loss. Yeah, sometimes when it comes to the pilot, you'll get a voice actor who might be available when you're making the pilot, but then might not be available later on, or they wouldn't be available for how long the show would need to go on with recordings, or you end up in a situation like with Hazbin, where you have union voice actors and you're not allowed to use non-union voice actors alongside union voice actors. So then you have to essentially decide if you're going with union or non-union voice actors at the start and stick to that, because you can't change your mind halfway through. But then in addition to that, as your budget increases, your ability to get specific talent for the roles that you're doing increases. So like in Vivzy Pop's situation, she ended up with a budget that could afford Broadway voice actors. Oh, my chat disconnected for a sec. And when that happened, she could get people who could both voice act and sing. And that kind of range was really important for making a musical that's animated. So a lot of people go into Hazbin Hotel and they're shocked the first time Charlie starts singing, which I don't know why they're shocked. She sang in the pilot. But then they're shocked the first time she sings. And I will admit, Happy Day in Hell is a little awkward at the start. But by the end of it, you kind of get a vibe for the show. Between the sense of humor, the fact that it's a musical, and a look at the setting. But a lot of people didn't like the first song number, which their opinion, I won't argue with that. The biggest thing for me is when people nitpick it and like act as if it's poorly written, which I don't think it is. Because Happy Day in Hell has to essentially do the job of an entire pilot. It has to set up the setting. It has to tell you exactly what to expect from the setting. What with like taking a tour of the town and like showing Cannibal Town, showing the production studio tower where the V's are. Oh, you got a 3-stream streak? I didn't even know I had that. That's so cool. Congratulations, Steph. But then, like, you get a little bit of exposition before you go into it, but then immediately they have to establish the setting so that when you get to the Heaven Embassy, you actually know what's going on, who the sinners are. You've gotten introduced to a good chunk of the characters, even though it was all at once. I love Serpentius. Serpentius actually shocked me with how much I ended up liking him. I was talking with Bubble Yum the other day, and I legitimately think he might be my favorite character, rivaling Angel Dust. And as we all know, Angel Dust is like the fan favorite, so that's saying something. I also love Lucifer, but in a quirky, he's just a little guy kind of way, so I can't, like, compare him in the same way because I like him on a more superficial level currently. I do love his voice acting. Jeremy Jordan actually, like, blows my socks off constantly with his portrayal of Lucifer. But, like, the characters in the show are absolutely phenomenal. But, like, in the first episode, you get, like, 2 songs, and Happy Day in Hell kind of leads into Hell is Forever. And then throughout all of season 1, you see them, like, Would you two stop fighting? My goodness. Sorry, my cats are... Well, I've renamed Dub the Pigeon, by the way, because she's an absolute menace. A little trash goblin, a little fail cringe queen. I love her to bits, and I would kill for her. But she also has a habit of annoying the crap out of my other 2 cats with zero remorse or survival instinct in her tiny, fuzzy little body. So if you hear growling in the background, I promise one of my cats is just very vocal. And she's essentially just saying, "Stop poking me. Leave me alone. I'm trying to nap. Hey, this is my spot." So I promise my cats aren't in danger. One of them just vocalizes as if she's a little demon. That's Crow, by the way. Crow's very vocal. Robin is vocal only specifically when there's food involved because she is a gluttonous little Robin. I love her to bits as well. Where was I? Right, so a lot of the songs in the first season that are, like, related to the overarching plot tie into either Hell is Forever or Happy Day in Hell. So you'll hear, like, musical stings from both pop in all over season 1, alluding to which side of the dynamic any given plot development is. So, for instance, there's callbacks in You Didn't Know to Hell is Forever. And then Happy Day in Hell is pretty much bookended by, what was the finale song called? The Show Must Go On? I think it was called The Show Must Go On. So one of my favorite things about Hazbin Hotel as a musical is it behaves like a musical. The songs aren't... They're not like in High School Musical where if you listen to the soundtrack, you would just get a whole bunch of songs. If you listen to the soundtrack of Hazbin Hotel, you hear the plot. No song works if you put it out of order, for instance. And you can... It's kind of hard to describe the difference as somebody who's really casual when it comes to musicals, but it's kind of the difference between like Disney Channel original musicals like Camp Rock and stuff like that, where the song numbers only kind of loosely relate to anyone's character progression, or essentially just say, this is exactly what I'm feeling or thinking right now. And instead go for the classic musical style where it's I start the song thinking or feeling this. I talk through the issue, things progress, and by the end of the song, I've either changed my mind, solidified my resolve, or something. During the song, the plot actually progresses. It's not telling you where you are in the plot, it's actually moving the plot forward. And that's something that I don't think a lot of people really take into account when they give criticism of the music in Hazbin Hotel. Because, like, I've seen people compare it to, like, one episode musical episodes from series that aren't musicals. And they're like, oh, if you want to do a musical, it should be like this. But that is kind of like comparing an apple to an orchard. You're going to end up with some funky apples in the orchard, but you end up with a lot more apples. And some of them are probably going to be better than the apple. But you can spend a lot of time making that one apple a really good apple, right? So it's kind of like... It's kind of like cherry-picking your favorite X, Y, or Z and then comparing it to something that has to be X, Y, or Z for like 5 times as long. Or like 8 times in the case of Hazbin Hotel, where they only have 8 episodes. I love you, pigeon. Now is not the time to climb me like a tree. Whoa. My tracking just did something really weird. It had me limboing. So... In the case of Hazbin Hotel, I see a lot of people who don't, like, compare it to proper musicals like Hamilton or like Beetlejuice or things that are Broadway musicals. They compare them to like TV movie musicals or to musical episodes of shows that aren't musicals. And then they'll say the X, Y, or Z is better, and then write off all of the music, ignoring how many of the themes tie into each other by the end of the season. I've seen people, like, miss the entire point of certain songs, or take them in their bad faith interpretations and give zero nuance beyond that. Oh, my voice cracked. So I've heard a lot of, like, really unfavorable takes where people have, like, boldly declared that they know exactly what the artist was intending, and then they straight up list things that are the exact opposite of what I got from the exact same thing. So I know there's room for interpretation, but if the interpretation requires ignoring half the details of the show, taking the other half out of context, and then restacking them in a way in order to imply something else, I don't view that as good faith criticism. I view that as someone specifically not liking something and trying to articulate why without, like, actually giving any benefit of the doubt, or at least keeping their arguments good faith, you know? Sorry, I've been ranting this whole time. I was supposed to be playing Marvel Rivals, so let me go ahead and get that started, and we will go ahead and start practicing a little, and I will mention here or there if I need to about anything else. Go. And then let me pop this up so I can see a bit better. Alrighty, why am I on this screen? It is fun to talk about. I also just needed to get that stuff off of my chest. It was kind of like... I can't really blame anybody for not liking Marvel Rivals. Not Marvel Rivals. Hazbin Hotel. But I can blame people for being dishonest about what elements they don't like. I don't like when people dislike something and then they misinterpret or actively mislead the people they're talking to about the content of the show in order to justify their dislike of it. I don't mind anybody disliking the show. It's really fast-paced. It's really, like, rushed in the first season. Like, the first couple of episodes feel really slow-paced, and then the next 4 episodes feel, like, super fast-paced, like they put the entire show on fast-forward. Because if you look at the timeline of the show, the first 4 episodes are, like, 4 months of character development, and then the next 4 episodes are, like, maybe 1 month of character development, and then the season finale. Like, they really backload the season as far as plot progression goes. And then they spend the first half of the show just kind of getting you introduced to the characters and concepts. But because of that, it ends up feeling very weirdly paced. I feel like it serves its purpose, but it could have been paced better. But I also know that this is like the first big scale project for Vivian Medrano, so I can't really like say whether or not that's an inexperience problem or a writing style problem, because I know she tends to write fast-paced things for Hell of a Boss too, and that one is indie. So it might just be her particular writing style, and she hadn't quite gotten, like the kinks worked out yet, because it was her first season on a new project. So I will say in season 2, the pacing is a lot better. It's still breakneck, and it's still kind of a cramped story, but when this season popped up and certain characters didn't get the limelight, or things were set up but weren't paid off, because we have confirmed 4 seasons, I'm not too pressed about it. In season 1, it had to be written to the point that it was a standalone story that could stand on its own 2 feet if she didn't get renewed for any more seasons. But then she got, like, 3 more seasons confirmed, and thus could write those 3 seasons with the mindset that I can pay this off next season. And I'm not going to hold that against a writer who knows they have 2 more seasons. So, there are a lot of people who, I guess because the first season was so self-contained, they probably don't understand that setting something up for next season is actually a pretty normal thing for most writers to do. Because, like, if you're going to have, like, a really big character development moment later on, it helps if you lead into that in earlier seasons, right? Like, you set up for it, you lay the groundwork, things like that. It's a lot easier for things to not feel rushed if you spend more than 8 episodes working on it. And so the only way for Vivian to do that with her 8-episode seasons hold on. Sorry about that. For some reason, my iPod is playing, and I was trying to stop that. But the only way for Vivzy to do that with the 8 episodes she's been given by Amazon is if she sets up the character arcs to span more than one season at a time. So, if she's going to pay off something that has a lot of weight, then she's probably going to spend more than a season on it. That's just a fact. I don't know why everybody seems to think that, like, that's poor writing. I say everybody. There's just a couple of people who are really vocal about not liking those aspects. But I don't know why they think that's unique to her. Because that's, like, a very common thing when it comes to shows that get more than one season. They start pacing out their character arcs to span more than one season. Like, I've never seen somebody upset that, like, Adventure Time foreshadowed the snail and the Lich King multiple times. I've never seen somebody complain that, and I can't even think of another example right now, my brain is fried. Definitely nobody complained that they foreshadowed Thanos too soon. They were just disappointed with the payoff. Let's see, I am actually going to practice versus AI. I'm going to... So I've got a couple of characters that I'd like to learn how to play. So I'm actually going to go to the practice range first. I just wanted to make sure that when I came back, the practice versus AI was what was selected, just in case.
Welcome to the training ground. I'm Galacta, and I'm gonna...
And then I want to check out... I was going to check out Cloak and Dagger and Penny. Start with Cloak and Dagger.
Time create equilibrium. When it gets disturbed...
Jesus Christ, she has more cake than cake does.
Here come the bad guys.
Alright, so we've got E, which looks like it might be a displacement move. It's like shift is how I switch between them.
Let's pop back up under their noses.
Oh, that one turns you invisible.
Taste my pain.
My time to shine.
Okay, that one looks more like a healing one. Okay, so...
Coming up ahead.
Double kill!
Yes.
Okay, so they're right. The aiming really,
three.
you don't even have to have your cursor over top of them at all. What is this?
Get in here, y'all.
Does it really not last that long?
Welcome to the Dark Force dimension.
How do I look up? There we go. So, apologies for this. This is going to require some reading. Choose their ultimate. And then I could scroll between their two forms. So that's the switch. Terror Cave, deploy Veil of Dark Force to damage enemies upon touch. applying blind to narrow their sight and vulnerability to amplify damage received, dark teleportation, enshroud nearby allies in the Dark Force dimension and grant them phased, making them untargetable and invisible to enemies, granting them a movement boost. Interesting. And passive. Oh, that's a team-up ability. Dark Force Cloak and inflict continuous damage to an enemy. Then hers is deploy a Veil of Light Force to heal allies upon touch and grant them healing boost. Launch a volley of daggers, creating a healing over time field in the impact area. Okay, so there's no way I can play Cloak and Dagger and remember which one I'm playing while also shooting at people. This one's definitely going to be something where I have to practice in order to get the hang of this. Okay. Let's go ahead and check out... No. So she's supposed to be really difficult. Let's see, we've got Spider Sweeper, enhance the spider suit, launching up enemies in its path and deploying arachnomines, spider drones, and cyber webs repeatedly. Spider drones inflict a slow effect on hit, which can stack and refresh its effect period with multiple hits. Bionic spider nest. Generate a bionic spider nest at targeted area, periodically spawning spider drones and creating cyber webs while in the cyber web. Penny and allies gain healing over time and a movement boost. Excess healing converts to bonus health. Spider drones inflict a slow effect on hit and can stack and refresh its effect period with multiple hits. Deploy arachnomines that can be concealed within the confines of a cyber web. Cyber bonds shoot a web strand that links to the targeted area or cyber web. If stretched too far, it will trigger a pullback. Wall crawl. Hold space to crawl on vertical spaces. I know about that one. And then Cyberweb Snare has futuristic webbing that immobilizes enemies or creates a cyber web. While in the cyber web, Honey and allies green. Yeah, I worry about that part. Man, I wish my monitor weren't broken. Right in... Oh, I can't show you my cursor because it's not on the screen. I can read launch forward a psi, but and then like the ER is cut off, and then I can't see again until the abilities. So there's like a square broken out of my monitor. I need to get it replaced, but I can't replace it until after I finish fixing my computer. Sorry about the bot. I went ahead and got rid of it. Alright. Go ahead and practice with her.
The spider controlling my suit is small, but fierce. Just like me.
Oh, I'm aiming at the wrong one.
Whoever they are, they don't
I think I have
friendly.
bigger problems if I can't figure out which ones
They
are my
never stood a
allies.
chance.
So she
Double
does get
kill!
headshots. Interesting. And this one is the spider mine.
You know what to do, spiders? My trap worked! It just wasn't your day. Whoever they are, they don't look friendly.
Double KO!
Spiders get the job done.
And then
Time for some
That's
fireworks. Boom go the spiders. Mine's
Double
in
KO.
place. Way to go, spider. Spiders get the job done.
Okay.
Double KO! That's 3!
Wait for me. Woohoo! I know that sound. And that's how we do it in Tokyo.
Double KO!
Whoever they
That's
are, they don't look friendly. You never stood a chance.
Does she really have infinite ammo?
Sayonara.
Double KO!
Here comes trouble. Time for some fireworks. Way to go, spider! Whoever they are, they don't look friendly.
Interesting. This one looks like it's tangled up on this guy. This one doesn't. I don't know how to tell the difference.
You know
And
what to
this
do,
one-
spiders?
Also lays down a big healing net.
Woohoo! I know that sound. Whoever they are, they don't look friendly. You're up, little one.
Stop shooting me.
Spider for the win.
Can't see their health bars. That one still died, so obviously the healing is not enough to outdo their damage. I don't know if Penny's gonna be my style. I definitely want to practice wall running with Rocket.
Just say it. There's nothing I can't fix. More bad guys. Just what we need.
Oh, they weren't kidding. He is a lot faster on walls.
Long as I got bullets, I win. Yeah.
Double KO!
You lost! To me! You're ready for action! Racking 'em up!
Double KO!
Earth-shattering... This is real firepower! More bad guys. Just what we need. Are we winning? I know I'm having a great time.
Double KO!
Alright, and then my favorite thing about Rocket is this
Relay
thing.
deployed. It ain't cheap.
So it regens a character after they die. That's my favorite part about Rocket, is he gives like your tanks
You're
and your
welcome.
DPS a chance to get right back into the action. And then he can heal a shit ton of damage if you line up the orbs correctly.
You're ready for action. Those guys are about to shoot at us. Relay deployed. It ain't cheap. This is real firepower!
Double KO! That's 3! Wow, 4 in a row!
This is way more fun than it should be.
5! That's amazing!
Yeah, I think I prefer Rocket.
You're ready for action. Yeah! Armor patch here.
Yeah, wrong button.
Pay up.
Let's go, please.
Yeah. Yeah. More bad guys. Just what we need. This is real firepower! That one's my favorite!
Double KO!
You lost! To me!
That's 3! Wow, 4 in a row!
Takes so much longer without the ultimate, so the ultimate definitely
You're
pulls its
ready
weight.
for action! Relay deployed! It ain't cheap!
The other thing I like about this relay is it spits out these little armor things. And you grab them, and it gives you like 25 extra health.
More bad guys! Just what we need!
Only problem is they go away when the thing respawns.
Are we winning? I know I'm having a great time.
They have a little jetpack. Sorry, Steph, I missed your comment. Just for the training area, what?
More bad guys. Just what we need.
Oh, you're saying you're excited to play the game, but maybe just for the training area? I can't really blame you too much. A lot of these hero shooter games have really just not very nice players in them, so it can kind of get... Ow! I am not a pincushion. I do not need needles in me. It can get kind of discouraging earlier on when you're still learning the bare minimum about the different characters. So, like, one of the reasons I like Rocket is he can get ad shots versus body shots.
Double KO!
But he's also a very good healer. So
Those guys are about to shoot at us.
I can take out a tank with like one clip of ammo while also keeping my team healed up.
I'll patch you up.
And if I can keep on top of that while also taking a couple of pot shots,
This is
I end up way
fun
more
than it should
efficient with my team by picking off one or two people, or even just
That's 3!
taking a tank down to half health so that my DPS actually stands a chance of taking them out up close. And I like playing a role like that where I can keep my team healed up while still helping them without having to be like up front and in the fray too much. But it paints a big target on my back, and unfortunately I'm not very good. Like,
More
if a
bad
Spider-Man
guys.
comes
Just
at
what
me,
we
I'm not
need.
very good at
You're ready for action.
like countering, because I don't know Spider-Man's
In
counter
your
just yet.
face.
I'm still that new. I can quickly Google that, but I'm not really like trying to be competitive or anything. I just like the characters, and I
As long
like
as
the
I
movement
got
mechanics,
bullets, I win.
and I'd like to get better at both of those things and occasionally play with my family. So it's not like I'm trying to be like sweaty or anything.
You're ready for action. You're welcome.
But yeah, so I'm
More
not
bad
really
guys.
sure
Just
how
what we
much
need.
of this game I actually want to. I love Shooter and Healers too. Soldier 76 was my favorite, and Overwatch because of that too. I never actually got to play Overwatch. I was too psyched out by how toxic the fan base could get. I also just don't like how high stress the games can feel when everybody takes it seriously. Which, I get it. If you're competitive, you want to be able to take it seriously. You want to raise in the ranks. There are incentives to do so, especially in order to clear some of the missions in these games, so that you can get items from the battle pass and stuff like that. It's just not why I want to play the game. Which means I do go up against people who want to win way more than I do. But if I were to take it that seriously, I would be way too disheartened to actually get
More
anywhere
bad
in
guys.
this game.
Just what we need.
Especially, you guys can see how bad my
In
aim
your
can get.
face.
It's one thing when I'm
Double KO.
standing here and like
You're welcome.
everybody's within like 30 feet of me, 30 meters in game. But like, well, not 30 meters.
Yeah.
Yeah, 30 meters.
That must be
And they're only
really
occasionally
humiliating.
moving. Even if they are moving, it's usually
Double
at a
KO.
consistent speed and a consistent direction. When they move unpredictably, or can fly, or in Spider-Man's case, spaz, when they move erratically, I have a lot harder time leading my shots, because if you look where those shots are landing and where my cursor is do not line up very well. So with that travel speed for my bullets, I have a lot of difficulty
More bad guys. Just what we
actually
need.
leading in the correct direction in order to hit these people. Especially with Spider-Man, who goes at very different speeds depending on where he shoots his web. He will be going very fast and then in the complete opposite direction within a split second. I have no idea how people don't get motion sick as heck when playing Spider-Man, but I guess they're built different. But that's one of the reasons why Spider-Man is a good counter for Rocket, because he can't actually line up a shot when he's zipping all over the place. Versus, like, Groot, who can hardly move. Let me show you Groot real quick. This is the tank that I most often play if I play tank.
I am Groot.
This is his max speed. And then wall.
I am Groot. I am Groot.
So if you see this, this means that the thing is actually like activating when this guy gets shot at. Or when this guy gets shot at. So if I go back, 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 then my wall gets happy and helps out. And then I've also got left shift wall.
I am Groot.
And these ones should help attack people and increase my damage against them.
Double kill!
Either that or that one's the healy one. Or like if you stand next to it, you heal. I can't remember which of these that is. Well, I suppose I can come in here and read which one it is. Target a location and throw a thorn lash wall. When awakened, it strikes nearby enemies attacked by Groot and his allies. And then Ironwood Wall, when the wall is awakened, damage dealt by Groot and nearby allies grants Groot bonus health. Ah, okay. Groot gains unstoppable while near Ironwood walls. So, for instance, if I do this, it helps keep me topped up. That's what this one does. So. And then these ones help me do extra damage. But I don't think I can do headshots with Groot. So let's aim for the very tippy top. Nope, just normal shots. And then this one I kind of like. It like hits them, but it like launches out a couple of explosions. So if, I think if I miss, it hits both of them. And then with Q,
Double kill!
I am Groot.
it's kind of like a sticky bomb. It draws people together and it smacks the crap out of them, which can hold down people who are moving around too much if you can hit them, or it can stop someone from being able to use certain abilities that require them to be able to move.
I am Groot.
So you can have 3 of those walls up, I think. And then one of these.
I am Groot. I am Groot.
Double kill!
And then you just have so much health. Unfortunately, you're slow as molasses. So, I really like playing as Groot. I am kind of mid at him, though. And then if you see, now that I'm away from the ironwood wall, I'm not getting any of that bonus health. So I have to come back up close again. And then I start getting the bonus health back.
I am Groot!
Double KO! That's 3!
I don't think I have the ability to
I
heal though.
am
And I have little pops. I want to test to see if hopping makes me any faster at all. So let's go. 1,000, 2, 1,000, 3, 1,000, 4, 1,000, 5, 1,000, 6, 1,000. 6 seconds to get to the end. 1,000, 2, 1,000, 3, 1,000, 4, 1,000, 5, 1,000, 6, 1,000. Yep, same amount of time. It's more fun though. With the silly little hops. And then, seeing as how we're just kind of hanging out here, I'll go ahead and show you all of the characters. If I can stop hitting my microphone, that'd be great. Show you all of the characters that are in the game currently. So this is Groot. This one's Cap. He's got like sci-fi shield. His wings are back. I don't know if I can... No, that's just the profile. And we've got Thor. They kind of went for brick wall Thor instead of Surfer Dude Beefcake Thor, which is okay, I guess, but I still like Surfer Dude Beefcake Thor. We've got Banner, who can transform into Hulk, and then Monster Hulk when he's really, really angry. I don't know how that works. I don't want to find out. If I can't play Cloak and Dagger, I don't want to figure out how to play Hulk. That just sounds like a headache to me. Then we've got Doctor Strange, who I really like this design. I think this really suits him. And then I'm trying to go through the ones that people would know from the movies first. Got Black Panther. Got Hela. Who's very mean to me in this game, by the way. If you saw the TV show, there's Moon Knight. Spider-Man. Iron Man. Black Widow. Hawkeye. Who's looking like a cross between Genji and Hanzo currently. We've got the Winter Soldier. Very good look on him. Got Star-Lord. He's very blonde in this game. We've got Scarlet Witch. We've got Daredevil, who's looking a little samurai-esque for some reason. I don't know what's up with that. We've got Blade, who I'm just happy is here, honestly. We've got Loki with his dumb horns that I miss so dearly. Then we've got Rocket, obviously. This little mohawk and jetpack. We've got Mantis. I think I've played as her, but I have trouble remembering how her ammo works. Yeah, Magic and Squirrel Girl are really great, honestly. And then we've got Adam Warlock. And we've got Ultron. I've got a cat trying to attack my face again. Sorry. Stop. I don't know what Pigeon's obsession with biting my face is, but we need to break this habit. We need to break this habit, Pigeon. You are very cute. I would like to have you snuggled in my lap without fearing for my life. And then this is my boy. One of my favorite Marvel characters is, her name is Gwenpool. She started off as a alternate cover for a Deadpool comic. Back when they were like Gwenifying everybody's comics, because Ghost Spider or Spider-Gwen, whatever you know her as, was like huge at the time. So they were just doing alternate covers where they Gwenified, with quotation marks, different covers. And the oh my god, don't push Crow onto the floor. Why can't you two coexist? But the Deadpool one hit especially hard. So when they saw how popular that one was, they decided to give a little mini comic to it, and it was popular enough that they decided to make a series. And I hate the mini comic, mostly because it's like watching Deadpool in drag instead of an original character. And then in the proper series, I absolutely love Gwenpool. She is fantastic. She is an interesting character. She has an interesting concept. The way her world is also fun. People were cosplaying as her before she became an official character. Yeah. I absolutely love that comic run. But it became pretty obvious that what the writers were doing with the solo series wasn't what Marvel was really looking for. And so, yeah, I have like 2 of the Funkos and a standing figure and a t-shirt somewhere. I don't know where the t-shirt ended up, but it is somewhere. I am a big fan of Gwenpool. But when it became obvious that apparently an ultimatum was made, they decided to stick with their guns and keep Gwenpool as the character they had been writing her as, instead of turning her into the villain / Deadpool clone that Marvel was looking for. And thus her comic run got cut short. And I am angry about it to this day. They've tried to bring her back a couple of times, but each time has either felt clumsy or was in someone else's comic run and she just was not as popular there. So I feel like, in a weird way, she's going to stay this niche cult classic character. And then Jeff the Shark ends up being the breakout star of, I think it was Avengers East Coast? It was like one of those like spin-off Young Avengers style ones where they, yeah, why fix what isn't broken? People love her as is. I know, it's so sad. I think the most frustrating thing is they decided what she was before even giving her comic run a chance to do anything. And then when it wasn't what they were expecting, they threw the baby out with the bathwater. and I'm just really sad about it. But I'm really kind of sad about a lot of what Marvel Comics has done with their characters. It's kind of obvious which ones started as a concept and were thrown out before they were ready, and which characters were a great concept that the writers that keep getting handed the character have no idea how to actually capitalize on. So, like, I'm a big fan of Miss Marvel, Kamala Khan, but I don't really like how she's written a lot of the times. In her main series, she's like a small hero. Like, if you've ever watched Static Shock, it feels like Static Shock. A local hero. Like, if you went even a couple city blocks over, nobody's going to know who the fuck she is. And I liked that for her, mostly because it allowed her to have really grounded stories mixed in with her friends and family and the environment that the story was set in. I'm getting kicked out of the game. Okay, I guess we're gonna go back to just chatting. Which is fine. Honestly, I'm enjoying talking way more than I'm enjoying Marvel Rivals at the moment. Although I will turn off the just chatting music. Actually, no. I will turn it back on, but turn it down just a smidge. Just a smidge. Oh my gosh. Why has it got to be so sensitive? I don't have any chat on stream. Hold on. There we go. Alright, so one of my big issues with the way other people end up writing Kamala Khan is not so much that she's out of character or that she is in settings that don't suit her. It's that she's given these huge events, and while she's a great leader, it doesn't really benefit her character at all. She doesn't really go through any character growth or anything from it. It's not the best way to utilize a character like her. So she gets along well with others, but it's really hard for her to develop outside of her small town setting the way people have been portraying her. And so you end up with a situation where you put her on a big team of heroes, and the stories going on in theirs can translate into drama for the character, but you don't get much storytelling from her directly because all of her issues are too small to get dragged into big superhero fights. So it ends up being about who she's dating or what her friends are going through or things like that. And you end up just not getting a whole lot of character development from her herself. I enjoyed playing as her, and her story in the Avengers game, Kamala, is awesome. Yeah, I really like her character, and I feel like it would be better utilized in smaller stories than the ones that she gets pushed into the comics. I feel like that game, I can't remember what it was called. I feel like that Avengers game did a really good job at utilizing her personality as kind of a grounding force around the other heroes. I feel like she was a great addition to the cast of characters that they got, because otherwise you would have ended up with a lot of larger-than-life characters, and Kamala is a very down-to-earth character. She kind of fills the same role that Spider-Man used to before he was everybody's favorite superhero, you know? Back when he was just the young, up-and-coming hero who's just kind of stumbling his way through things. I feel like she fills that role really well. But again, like Spider-Man, he had like his own rogues gallery before he started getting roped into Avengers level threats. So whenever the world wasn't ending, he could go back home and fight the goblin or the rhino or the unicorn or whatever other animal themed or mythological creature themed villain he has to face that week. Why did I say the unicorn before I said the lizard? I mean, fake fan. Yes, unicorn has like a laser helmet. It's great. Then you also have characters like Daredevil, who he works in other people's comics because he's really technically adept and no nonsense. But like when he's the solo hero, he's got really like they're big in scope, but they're local issues. Because he's kind of like Batman. All of his motivation is wrapped up in where he grew up and the corruption and stuff in his hometown. As opposed to like Tony Stark, who is so much larger than where he grew up that he's got no actual tie to a location so much as he's got a tie to science and engineering and the ethics therein. So you end up with very different stories with Tony Stark as opposed to Matt Murdock. And the issue with like characters like Ironheart is when you go from having a protagonist like Tony Stark who has threats on a macro scale to having a character like Riri Williams who has issues on a micro scale, but then has to take over on a macro scale, it doesn't translate very well. So you end up with a situation where someone's going through character development that seems completely disjointed from the threats she's facing, because she's just inheriting someone else's, and she wasn't designed for those kinds of threats. So they end up like kind of like hand waving their way through some of the challenges that she faces early on, instead of showing how she grows and rises to the occasion. They're just like, and she figures it out, or someone bails her out, or something happens and she manages to make it through another fight. And then they throw her into a setting like the Champions or the Young Avengers, and then she's left in a situation where she doesn't have her own rogues gallery. She doesn't have enough character development for anybody to latch onto something and write it into a group dynamic. You kind of end up with a character that just is unfinished. So, like, whereas Kamala Khan was a great character who was taken out of her ideal setting, Riri Williams is an incomplete character who is set into the exact same environment, but doesn't have anything to stand on afterwards, because you've removed her from the only thing she had, which was her legacy role. And she hadn't quite grown into her own character by the time they end up shoehorning her into a team dynamic. And if she were made specifically for the team, that would be a bit different. Like if she was written specifically to be a like an apprentice to Iron Man instead of taking over for the role of Iron Man, it would have given her a little more time to actually grow into the role and gain her own beef with the Rogues Gallery before having to suddenly and very quickly either replace Iron Man as a hero or take over his role in stopping his Rogues Gallery. And she just was not set up on a stable foundation for that. A lot of her personality was still left vague. She was given the trait of the tragic savant, where she's just so intelligent compared to those around her that she feels alienated from them, on top of also making her a person of color who will have to go through difficulties with that. And because it was also rushed or like poorly established, it ends up with just not much beyond that. So she's got those two challenges in her life and next to no character outside of that. In the comics, I don't even think they had officially established whether or not she was traumatized by her best friend dying because it was somebody dying in front of her, or because she loved and cared about that friend in her own isolationist or socially awkward way. And I know it can be kind of hard to tell with Genius characters whether or not they like an individual character unless you actually have them come out and either show or tell how they feel about that character. But Riri Williams was not given that time to establish her emotional connections to things. It was a lot of tell, don't show. And so you ended up with a character that was just kind of not ready for the limelight to be put on her the way it was. And then you have characters like Viv, who her backstory is interesting. Her personality is essentially just the Vision 2.0, but this time teenage girl. And you end up with enough to run with, despite the fact that I don't think she had a solo series until the Champions. Which works for her because her character dynamic with the others is essentially just the outsider. But with like specifically the coming of age style self-discovery issues. You end up with situations where she has to question whether or not she's capable of certain things because of her origins. And if anybody's listening and doesn't know who Viv is, her name is Vivian, and she is the daughter of Vision, who like made himself. I don't know a whole lot about the backstory, so if I get anything wrong, please take what I take with a grain of salt. I am not an actual historian of comic book lore. The Vision kind of like made his own family in an effort to try to feel more human and explore that aspect of humanity. So he made himself a wife and 2 kids, and Vivian was one of said kids. I don't know anything about the wife or the other kid. I don't even know if the other kid was a boy or a girl. I assume boy, because that sounds like a very nuclear family situation. But I think Vivian was probably the best thing that came out of that entire situation, because she was the one who was given the space to grow into something more than just another Vision, you know? I really liked her character development in the Champions, and I feel like if that comic was handled a little more smoothly, like if everybody wasn't like shoved into that setting so haphazardly, I feel like it would have gone a little smoother. So I feel like some of the characters probably would have been a little better off had that comic been a little bit better organized, but I can't complain too much. A lot of those characters were kind of chosen just to fill out the roster. Son, yes. Wonderful. Thank you, Steph. And then, like, there was also Miles Morales in the Champions, despite the fact that I think at the time, I think he was older than the others, but I'm not sure. Because Kamala Khan's age kind of like... I think it stays relatively stagnant despite the passage of time. I know that she ends up in college, but I feel like she was like on her way to college already by the time the comics start. Kamala also ends up in a situation where the writers are like, we want to make her relevant to this storyline, so let's rewrite her origin again. So originally, when she premiered, she was one of the Inhumans back when they were trying to replace the X-Men because they were salty because they didn't have the film rights. No. Said no. You don't get to bully your way onto my lap. So you end up in a situation where, like, when it becomes obvious that the Inhumans don't have this, which was why it was creepy. She was paired with Spider-Man. Yes, so she's kind of shown to be around Miles's age, and then later on she becomes a love interest for Peter Parker Spider-Man. And I'm just like baffled by that age discrepancy, because as far as Miles goes, he's essentially just Peter Parker's apprentice in age. So even if he's an adult, there's enough of an age and experience gap that Peter Parker is in the mentor role. So why is Kamala in his age category while Miles is in his apprentice category? Yeah. I also don't like that it was just another diversion from letting Peter just get back together with Mary Jane, not Mary J. Like, I don't like that they just threw Kamala in as a way of, like, distracting from things instead of adding anything or being her own character in someone else's story. Like, you would never see them do something like that with, like, Daredevil or Johnny Storm or Ant-Man if one of them showed up in a Spider-Man comic. But because Kamala Khan is, like, one, a woman, and two, a character from a comic series that just is whatever the editors want it to be, they get away with killing her off just for clickbait for a Spider-Man book. It is the most shallow and heartless thing you can do to a beloved character like her. Because I know she's still newer and that stings less than killing off, like, MJ, but I would believe MJ before I would believe Kamala Khan. Because if they're not going to let Spider-Man get back together with his, like, one love interest that ended up working out really well and was beloved by all the fans for various reasons, all of which were, like, good reasons, then why the heck don't we just have an angst arc where they can't be together because, oh no, she's actually dead right now and he has to do something to bring her back? I don't know. I feel like there are better things that they could have done. And instead they keep trying to turn MJ into her own superhero, which is fine, but they've got to stick with a concept. They can't keep stealing other people's stuff and handing it to her. Also, why the fuck did they make her Venom? She was traumatized by Venom. She was, like, legitimately terrified of Venom. Why would they make her Venom? You can see I am very opinionated about both Hazbin Hotel and Marvel. I should change my category. Why the heck does it say Minecraft? I thought I already updated that. And give that a second to update. I don't have to rant about Iron Mouse. Iron Mouse is only good things. What do you mean strong opinions on cheese? Cheese is great. That is a normal opinion to have. I think it's weird that you, like, treat... I do have strong opinions about the color purple, actually. I think it's weird that so many men think purple is a girl's color. I think purple looks great on men. I like smoked Gouda. I like Swiss cheese. I like Havarti. There are a couple other ones. I tend to like the creamier cheeses, but I haven't really had, like, brie and stuff like that. I should probably try that one of these days. You feed the plastic lies to your dogs. If your dogs get to eat high-class food, then I get to eat low-class food. Okay, just because people can smack people with, like, pieces of food doesn't mean it's not food anymore. I've seen the tortilla challenge where you smack the crap out of each other with a tortilla and try not to spit water all over the place. That doesn't make all of Mexican cuisine not food. You see, I'm starting to think you're the one with strong opinions on cheese. Bubble yum out here coming for my goat. Besides, I use American cheese in grilled cheeses. I don't think that there's a better cheese for that. I saw what Gordon Ramsay put on his plate, and that was not a grilled cheese. Thank you very much. Whoa, what's my hand doing? Now see, that's just offensive. If all you needed was Parmesan, cheddar, and mozzarella, then that would be a really sad 4-cheese sandwich. Listen, I don't even think you would convince an Italian of those 3 cheeses, because then they'd eventually want Romano, and then they'd eventually want, what was the other one? There are a couple of really good Italian cheeses that are used in a lot of things. Oh yeah, there are a couple of, sandwich shops like that where they just specialize in different types of grilled cheese. I went to one where I got like a peanut butter grilled cheese with cream cheese and bananas in it. It was really good. And it did taste like cheese, but like not in the way where like cheese fries taste like cheese, but in the way that like cheesecake tastes like cheese, you know? I think it was in Ohio, so I can't actually take you there, but it did have 4 stars. My uncle brought me there. Good memories of that place. Yes, you will have to live without your magical grilled cheese restaurant. It's not like we don't have some really great places to eat around here, though. Oh, Steph, let's see, what's this? Oh, the top grilled cheeses in history. Diners, drive-ins, and dives. Right. Cookies on the back burner. Yes, unlike some people, Bubble Yum does have to work tomorrow, the poor thing. It's not like she gets 2 days off this week. No, it's the 1 day off that she doesn't get that she's salty about. Pierogies? What are pierogies? I can't... I don't know why, but like... Ah. They're dumplings. Yeah, you should cook me more food more often because I love eating your food. And for no other reason. Oh my god. So, this time last week, it was like summer weather. I was legitimately like sweating wearing long sleeves. And then this week, it's so cold my legs go numb when I go outside. I want to know who decided that the Midwest had to be like this. Yeah, I'm not built for cold weather, and I'm especially not built for wild swings in temperature. Sorry, I just realized I'm not actually reading out the comments I'm replying to. That's got to get confusing, especially with any delay. Steph says it's like 20 degrees where she's at, so, like, I'm not very well acquainted with the cold, but, like, I can manage. My issue is that, like, when the temperature goes from like 60s to like 20s, the shift in the barometric pressure ends up really hurting my joints and my bones. Because I got leg injuries like way back, and ever since then my bones have not been the same. And like, I know part of it is probably related to like fibromyalgia or something, which I don't have a diagnosis for. I'm working on it. I have no money. I'm pretty sure it's related to that because it does run in my family, and that would be a good explanation for why my entire family acts like old ladies who predict the weather based on how much her back hurts. But like, specifically my legs never used to be like this, and then once I got injured, ever since then, it doesn't matter, like... your neck is such a bad place to get arthritis, too. Yeah, Steph says that she relates because of arthritis, so... I am lucky enough to not have to deal with any arthritis, but it does run in the family, so... there's a good chance that I will develop that later in life, so I'm not looking forward to that, especially when I'm already this achy, breaky, whiny about the weather changing. I'd say the arthritis in my knees is up there too. Yeah, although I want to know, like, what happened first, the arthritis or your knee injury, because neither one is going to be very good when the weather changes. There's a tickle on my nose. It's like right on the tip, and whenever it does that, it makes me need to sneeze. It's like, you know when your leg falls asleep and you get those like pins and needles? It's like that, but it's always on the tip of my nose. I don't know why it does that. Where I end up just like pinching the end or like rubbing back and forth to try to get it to stop. I don't know why it does that. Good with shredded cheese and sour cream. I will probably try that when eventually Bubble Yum gets a wild hair and decides that she wants to cook it. Cause she'll tell you I tend not to eat anything that doesn't come in either a box or is kept in the freezer, so. I will make food occasionally, but I don't really enjoy cooking. Like, there's a lot of housework that I enjoy doing, but cooking's never been one of the things I enjoy doing. I don't know why. Like, there are certain recipes that I like making specifically because I can't buy it anywhere, but not because I enjoy cooking itself. Oh, if you ever want to know a casserole recipe, though, I do have one, and it was made by somebody I don't like, so I can give it away without any guilt. And it's a really, really simple recipe, so if you know how to cook it all, it's really easy to make. I just keep, like, stretching and stuff. I think, I want to keep streaming because I'm enjoying talking, but I might have to, like, pop out specifically because, like, I don't have any energy drinks or anything that I can drink right now to keep myself from getting sleepy. So, depending on when the sleepiness really sets in, I will probably pop out around then. But I just wanted to give a fair warning that that's probably why I'll cut off stream today. I do not work tomorrow though, so I will probably be streaming later in the day. I need to work on some stuff, so I'm going to take the first half of the day to do that. You say that as if I have a sleep cycle. I have sleep episodes. Well, I can't say that. My sister actually has like a sleep disorder. I have the ADHD. I don't have a normal circadian rhythm where the sun sets and then I start getting sleepy. I have the circadian rhythm where like the sun sets and I get an energy boost, and then for hours I'm go, and then eventually my body's like, oh, I'm tired now, and then I crash. Like, I have to be very specific about going to bed at a consistent time in order to mimic a sleep cycle, but then I get a random bout of insomnia and then I can't sleep for a week, and then any sleep cycle I have is gone and I just sleep whenever I can because I don't want to die. If you like Starbucks and iced coffee, their energy drinks are good. Yeah, I have had their energy drinks. I like them as an every once in a while thing. It's not going to be an everyday thing for me, but I do like them. I really like the vanilla one. I don't know why. I don't like caramel very much when it comes to drinks. I like it in like chocolate, but I don't like it in drinks. I don't know what that says about me. I have sleep apnea, so I always sleep better during the day. Does sleep apnea not affect you as much during the day, or is it the position that you sleep in? Because I know sleep apnea makes it difficult to breathe while you're sleeping, and thus, like, it makes it really difficult for you to get a restful sleep because you're not getting enough air. Which is why the face mask helps, because it forces more oxygen into your breaths that you do take, so it gets more oxygen to your brain, so it can be a more restful sleep. But then I don't know if time of day affects that. I'll have to look into that. I might be able to give advice for like sleeping positions and stuff like that if that helps you. I'll look into that and get back to you next time. I can't do it quickly because I try not to skim read medical articles, because that's how you end up with like taking a paragraph out of context and then realizing you just told somebody the hypothesis to a study instead of the results. No, I'm usually just exhausted by then because I wake up a lot. Okay, yeah, that makes sense. I have... my uncle describes it as hypersomnia, where, like, I have elements of insomnia, but I also fall asleep really easily at times when I shouldn't. So, like, when I'm driving, I should not feel drowsy. My eyes are moving. I am moving. I am actively thinking. I should not be falling asleep. And then I will start falling asleep. And I have to, like, crank some, like, jams in order to, like, wake my brain back up so I don't actually fall asleep at the wheel. It, like, it used to be really bad back during school, and for the first year I was working at my current job. But I've gotten it more or less under control because I have, like, constant music going. And if I don't have constant music going, if it's, like, too quiet, then I run the risk of it happening again. But yeah, that was not fun. Especially because back then, it's not like I wasn't sleeping whenever those episodes would happen. It was completely unrelated to my insomnia. Because, like, it would happen whether I was having insomnia or not. I don't know what was causing it to be so bad back then. But like, I'll also be like at work and I will be working, like not the busy work kind of working, but like legitimately working. And then suddenly I'll start heavy blinking. So I have to turn on a YouTube video in order to keep myself awake. So it's just kind of weird when it happens and like how strong it is, because it's not like, oh, I'm kind of sleepy, it's making it hard for me to focus. It's more like cartoon style, I need toothpicks to hold up my eyelids because they're suddenly so heavy. It's like, or like the like, oh, I'm doing well and too. And you like suddenly headbang. Your head drops and then you like catch yourself and you're like trying to stay alert and you're just like, ugh. I know it used to happen a lot when I was in school, but I think part of that was just whenever teachers started getting into the droning part of teaching, where they're just like re-saying the same thing for the 100th time, and they get into that like tone of voice where it's like, I know what I'm saying. It's you who has to focus on listening. Whenever that happens, my brain is just like, and we can filter this out, and then I start falling asleep. So it happened a lot in school because of that. Not because of how sleep deprived I was, although that didn't help. But it wasn't any more common there than it was afterwards, so. There are a couple other situations where it will like hit me randomly. But I think those are a little more normal, like after you exercise a whole bunch and then you're like winding down and relaxing. I can fall asleep really easily in that situation. Or when you are like looking for something to watch and you're not quite finding something, so you just put whatever on for noise, but you're not really like, it's not engaging enough to like keep your attention, so your mind is like turning into the white noise and then you're just like suddenly sleepy. But I think those are more normal times to get drowsy randomly, so I don't really count those. We were originally talking about Hazbin Hotel. I had points. I had so many points. Where'd my note go? Oh yeah, I'm actually going to be making a proper YouTube video about Hazbin Hotel. I just wanted to vent a little bit, because legitimately I've seen so many bad takes that I might actually scream one of these days. I appreciate that you think it's an organic conversation. You have not seen how dysfunctional my conversations get. Like, legitimately, I could cover 1,000 topics in like 20 minutes, depending on how hyper I am, or how many like offshoot conversations pop into my brain. I was once talking with my brother, and legitimately at one point he stopped me and asked me how I can carry on an entire conversation on my own, because he struggles with socialization. So like legitimately, I know he wasn't trying to give me a bad burn, but like I legitimately had to be like, take it as a compliment, take it as a compliment, take it as a compliment, take it as a compliment. Bubble Yum has been subjected to my has-been rants, because she saw a little bit of the research I was doing, because I don't like being like, people are wrong and I'm angry about it. I like to actually hear them out to see if like their take has basis in reality and is just a difference of opinions, because if it's just a difference of opinions, I don't mind. Like, I like musicals, but I haven't seen a whole lot, so I'm a musical casual. But then I'll see people who say they hate musicals, but they've never actually sat through one. So it's kind of like they're judging musicals based off of whatever TV show or whatever like movie musical that they've seen, and those follow a different format. And Sorry, my cat knocked something over and I was trying to figure out what. But like they'll say they don't like musicals and then have clearly never actually tried to watch one. Like, I know there are some people who legitimately don't like musicals, but I'm talking specifically about the ones who refuse to ever try because, oh, those are cringe, oh, those are lame, oh, blah, 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 blah. Like, if you haven't tried it, I don't care about your opinion. That sort of thing. Because it's kind of like dismissing an entire genre based off of a vague vibe check you got at some point during your adolescence and decided was more valid than anyone else's take on them. Like the people who say they don't like puns and have decided that they're the lowest form of humor. Like, I get if you don't like puns, but to say that they're the lowest form of humor takes away the value of the execution and the work people put into actually getting good at making puns. Because, like, I can make puns. I can't make good puns. I pun a lot. You can ask Bubble Yum about some of the D&D games we played where I punned at her and she's been, ah. But, like, it's kind of like saying that you don't like an entire section of things because the worst of them are annoying to you. It's not really a fair assessment. And I can't, like, expect people to, like, deep dive into something that they don't enjoy on a surface level. But, like, when you make it a character fault of those who do like it, that's when I take offense. Because, like, Avenue Q is a good place to start if you haven't. I have seen so many voice clips from Avenue Q. I think that might be one of the first plays I ever want to go see because it sounds fantastic. There are a couple of other plays that I would like to see. Like, I don't want to watch the Beetlejuice movie. I want to watch the Broadway performance of Beetlejuice, you know? But that's like the thing. People will, like, they'll watch a movie based on a play and then they'll judge the play based off of that instead of off the play. And I don't like that mentality. It's like judging a book based on the movie that was made about it, you know? Yeah, Steph, when you said they don't want to say the real reason or want to look anti-establishment, so they make up reasons, that's a big part of it. I swear it's like a mentality you develop when you hit puberty, where, like, anything your friends or other people think is cringe, you have to also think is cringe, and then you, like, cement that in your personality forever. You never give it any nuance, you never give it any thought beyond that. It's like when a little kid eats, like, spinach, and they're like, ew, it's so gross, and then they never eat it again, but decide that it's still bad and gross, and anybody who likes it is bad and gross. And then, like, they feel the need to, like, publicize that standpoint, too. Because, like, back in high school, or whatever, wherever they picked up the opinion, it was something that you judged others on. So they never really lose the high school mentality of making sure that you know what their opinion on the matter is, even if it really isn't that deep. The Shrek musical is a good one too, because it expands on the lore. Yeah, I think that would probably be a really good one to turn into a movie too, because, like, there are elements of it that would play really well into a musical. The movie itself was already kind of like a jukebox musical, so I think that one would work perfectly. See, I knew you two would get along once you met each other. Bubble Yum was, like, worried that my friends wouldn't like her, as if anybody would dislike her based on her personality. Oh, that would be interesting. Yeah, I'll have to look into that. I can't really, like, go out and see plays, so I'll probably have to, like, look up where I can view a play online. But I know there are options, so I'll have to look into that. Yay, Bubble Yum's gonna help me out. And I'm sure Steph will too, because she's also one of those friends who will Google things for you and send you the link when she finds it. Because she's a gem like that. I also need to get you and Bones talking again. Steph sent me some screenshots from a game she's playing right now that's Sonic themed, and I know Bones would love that. I'm trying to think. So, one of my issues that I had with, like, Hazbin Hotel specifically was, a lot of people, like, made comments about, like, the art and stuff. And, like, a lot of the critiques and stuff seemed like they were armchair activism, kind of. You know when people, like, decide to fight a battle on someone else's behalf without checking to see if said person is actually upset or offended? Well, a lot of the issues with, like, the art had to do with, like, oh, this would be so rough on the animators. Oh, this would be so hard to animate. And yet, obviously, the show did a great job with the art and the animation. And then they're like, oh, that's putting too much work on them. They're going to get burnt out and miserable. And then she pays them above industry standard wages. And so it feels like they're fighting a battle that they've decided should be fought instead of one that actually people are trying to fight and need more help fighting. Because, like, if the animators were the ones coming out saying that the expectations were unrealistic and the workload too much, that would be one thing, but that wasn't what people were saying. They were assuming and then getting mad at the show creator for what they imagined would be an issue, I guess. They don't like it, so they are looking for reasons to make others feel the same. Yeah, it kind of feels like that a lot. And then I'll also see people who, like, they think that the art looks bad because the color palette is really red. And I am baffled by those people. Like, imagine trying to set a story in hell and not having a lot of red in the color palette. Like, there are ways of doing it, but it'll just look like any cave otherwise. Like, there's no sunlight. There's no, like... Thank you, Steph. In order to make, like, the art style look cohesive, she came up with, like, legitimate, like, lore about each circle of hell. She came up with character designs for each leader of said rings of hell, and then created themes, like colored palette themes for each circle of hell. So each circle of hell has its own unique design. And Hazbin Hotel takes place 100% in the Pride Ring of Hell. So you only see one Ring of Hell during all of Hazbin Hotel because that's where the location's set. It's set in Pentagram City in the Pride Ring of Hell. And in the Pride Ring of Hell, red is the predominant color. So having that be like a critique says that you don't care about the lore reasons behind it, says that you don't care about the art direction reasons behind it. You just think too much red, don't like, which is fair, unless you're saying that the art is bad because of that. And that's my issue. People are saying that the art is bad because she made an artistic choice with the color palette. And so, like, when in Hell of a Boss, they go to other rings of hell, you actually get to see the color palette change. They'll go to the greed ring and suddenly everything's green tinted, and everyone from that ring has a slightly different accent to the ones in, say, the Wrath ring, or ones from the Gluttony ring, or ones from the what was it? Sloth ring? I don't remember. It was the one with the fish. Envy. That's probably Envy. That makes sense. Well, that's good to know. I hope you enjoy your cookie. But, like, the different rings of hell, like, have set design to them. Like, the greed ring is where Moxie's from, for instance. So you end up finding out that his accent is from the greed ring. That sort of thing. It's interesting digging into the lore reasons behind things like that. But then, like, people just hand wave it off, assuming that it's just, like, there for no reason, I guess. He's got an Italian accent. Like, kind of a New Jersey Italian accent. Essentially, the greed ring is just New Jersey. Okay, I was confused for a second. But then, like, you'll find out Millie is actually from the Wrath ring of hell, and that's why she's got a southern accent. And then you actually go to the Wrath ring, and then you realize it's all a western, and it's great. I really love the Wrath ring. I think that's probably one of the best decisions for one of the rings of hell. But as a result, all of the imps and demons from the Wrath ring end up with southern accents and cowboy outfits. Millie doesn't have that because she's currently working in the Pride ring, but she does have the accent. And you can see in her, like, backstory and stuff that she is very much a creature grown from the Wrath ring. Because you said Italian, I was like, and then you said New Jersey, and it all made sense. Yeah. When it comes to the greed ring, it's just New Jersey specifically, so the Italian accent's really thick in New Jersey usually, so that's why I started with Italian and then specified Italian from where. Because I know the New York Italian accent is very different from the New Jersey Italian accent. So I wanted to specify. Whenever I lose tracking, I swear it's trying to destroy my spine. But yeah. But there'll just be people who, like, write off the art as if it's... as if they're not actively making artistic choices. And then there'll be people who, like, talk about the, like, silhouettes of the characters as if that's a good critique. Like, they'll compare Vox to Alistair to Lucifer and be like, oh yeah, these are all just skinny twinks. And I'm just like, okay, so one is really super short. One is dressed like a hipster. And then the other one is dressed in a business suit. And, like, if you boiled it down to all three are technically skinny and wearing suits, that is really vague considering all the character elements that you leave out with that description. Alistair's suit screams I am trying to be different. I prefer things old school, and I am quirky and unique. It screams scene kid. It screams hipster. But then you look at Vox, and he's wearing a nice fitted, tailored suit. It's got coattails. It's very I'm trying to think of the word. It's like ostentatious. It's very ostentatious. And then you look at Lucifer's, and his is even more ostentatious. He has the big hat, he has the cane, he's got the coattails, and then you look closely, and then you realize he's dressed like a ringleader from a circus. From the Ring of Pride that he rules over. He is a joke. He has Apple iconography built into his outfit in several locations. If you look at his coattails, it looks like an apple core. If you look at his cane, it's got an apple on top. And then if you look at his hat, it's got a snake eating an apple. On top of being dressed like a ringleader. It's a very, very well-designed character design. But then people boil it down to suit and skinny and then decide that's all there is to it. And it annoys me when people ignore the elements of the character. Alright, you have a good night, Bubble Yum. I hope you sleep well. But they, like, boiled down complex character design down to really simple elements, and then say because those elements are shared between 3 characters, that's suddenly bad character design. If you silhouetted each and every one of them, there would be no question which one's which, and not just because one's got a box for a face, and one's got deer ears, and one's got a giant hat. All of their character design is unique enough that it doesn't matter if you caught them in a vague pose, or wearing their outfits slightly different, you would not confuse them for each other. And it's not even like the character designs are so limited that it feels like they're just drawing the same character over and over again. Angel Dust is a completely different beast to Alistair. Alistair is a completely different beast to Husk. Serpentius is a completely different beast compared to, like, Valentino. And while they're all, like, on the skinny side, it's not like it's discriminatory towards, like, different body types. The show's got, like, a wide range of different character designs, and while most of them veer towards the skinny side, that's more of an artistic choice. It's not really a it's really not as exclusionary as people, like, make it out to be. Because, like, if it were, then it would be more along the lines of there would be a fat character, but that fat character's made fun of for their appearance or not being pretty or things like that. But when Mimsy showed up, she was a heavyset woman and nobody really commented on her build at all. It was usually just her acting entitled and dismissive towards other people's opinions that was the issue. So, like, her ordering Husk around as if she had the same authority as Alistair, or her being rude to the other people at the hotel by just kind of stomping all over their conversations, things like that. But that was more of a product of, like, who Mimsy was as a character as opposed to anything related to her character design. Her character design informed a lot more about Alistair than it did anything that anti-plus size, so I don't know why people... Anyway, long rant to say I don't see anything wrong with the character designs as they are, because all of them have, like, very varied physical attributes. So, like, Charlie is all legs, and so is not Alistair, Angel Dust. But while they're both all legs, their character designs could not be confused for each other, even silhouetted, because one has 4 arms, one has hair that defies gravity, One has like a suit cuff, and the other one wears boots up to their freaking pelvis. That sort of thing. And like even when you like stick them in their season 2 outfits, which Charlie's doesn't change any, but Angel Dust does, it gets even easier to tell them apart because suddenly Angel Dust is wearing this really cute puffy sleeve sweater that I would love to wear if I, had a little bit more confidence. Or, spider fluff on my chest. But you get to see, like, a lot of varied body types. You get to see short characters, you get to see wide characters, you get to see much less human characters. And most of them look like people you would see out in the real world body type-wise. But don't really have to stick to that. Because there are also sinners in hell who just appear very inhuman altogether. Then there's that, like, there are like 2 overlords. One is like a giant dinosaur lady, and then the other one's kind of like a dino guy. Both of them are from like the same area, I think. They both like clubbing and stuff like that. I really like their character designs, and they're like, one of them is built like what was his name? Tex, I think, which was short for Vortex. The husky-looking guy from Hell of a Boss. The dino guy is built kind of like him. And then the dino lady, her build is kind of bottom-heavy, but she's quite clearly, like, heavier set compared to other characters. I don't know. I really like the character designs in Hazbin Hotel, and I just don't see having, like, thin characters as a critique where other people do. I will say, one thing I don't like about the art is when they get their demon forms, you end up with characters like Alistair who look white instead of like a demon color. And then when it turns out that they're a person of color, it doesn't like click as well for people. And my critique is that it doesn't translate very well onto their demon designs if they're of a darker skin tone, if you give them a lighter skin tone as a demon. But I also don't want to be like, oh, because this is a person of color, that means that they should have a specific color in hell or whatever. So it's kind of like it's like a problem that doesn't really have a simple solution. So it's not like it's a moral failing of the showrunners that they didn't think about that or didn't have a solution for that. It's more just a consequence of people having a demon form at all that looks different from their human form. So I don't really like want to gatekeep on that topic either. So like there are characters in the show that would be white passing compared to others, but they would still be people of color. So I also don't want to be like, oh, because this character's like mixed race, that means that they have to have a particular skin color. They could be very white passing and still be of mixed race. I feel like those people are just seeing the animation and not watching the show and take those things into account, like, again, looking to create something out of nothing. See, I'd believe that if they didn't, like, reference elements of the show that you would have to watch the show to see. Like, people know that Alistair is mixed race, because Vivzi's talked about it, but you would have to know that Vivzi's talked about it, which would require you to have seen supplementary material on top of the show. Or waited until you saw season 2, but people were complaining about this back during season 1. So I don't know why the race, like, critique got as far off the ground as it did. So there are also aspects like Vaggie being Latina, and then people having issue with her being, like, angry a lot, which in the pilot it was a little more extreme, so I could kind of see it in the pilot, but that doesn't really translate into the show at all, so that argument really doesn't hold water later on. And then they'll say that a character is being a stereotype for, like, doing the hip thing, but then, like, at the same time, if a character is a certain culture, why would it be bad if they actually express that culture? Why is it a stereotype if they do things from their own culture? That sort of thing. I don't get how that is at all a reasonable argument either. Like, people got, like, mad that she had a big nose. People got mad that she had a darker skin tone, which is the exact opposite complaint they had from Alistair. Even though Vaggie does not have a human skin tone, they were like, oh, but she's darker skinned. And I was just like, okay. There are Latina women who have darker skin. Just because some of them can pass as white doesn't mean all of them can, doesn't mean all of them have to. There's not one way to represent a group of people, and in addition, she's purple, so I checkmate, I guess. And then there are people who, like, when a character's from a certain ethnicity and then they don't represent it terribly well, or, like, don't, like, do anything with that, it also comes across like people want them to be bigger stereotypes, but also would be mad if they were stereotypes, you know? Like, they got, you got, like, people actually complaining that Valentino sometimes has a Spanish accent. And then the show comes out and tells you he's from, like, Florida, most likely Miami. And then him occasionally having a Spanish accent and occasionally speaking Spanish makes perfect sense when you think the guy is bilingual and can speak perfectly fluent English, but can also, like, especially when frustrated, slip into an accent. Like, that's a normal thing that bilingual people do. This isn't a situation where, because English is the default language, that means nobody speaks other languages. We even see that with Nifty when she gets her own song number in season 2. But in season 1, you don't get all of that backstory because they've barely even covered the V's. So they see Valentino slipping in and out of a Spanish accent, and they decide that that is, like, an issue with the voice acting instead of, like, an important detail of the character. Like, if the character was just Spanish and didn't speak much English, then it'd be like Carmilla, where they have a consistent accent, but he doesn't, which in a normal situation would mean that, like, that's informing something about the character. But instead, they just decide that it doesn't mean anything because they don't like the show and don't want to think about it very hard. So what is a really interesting character detail turns into a show flaw because they didn't pay attention. That sort of thing. I see a lot of little issues like that. But yeah, that's like most of my critiques when it comes to Hazbin Hotel. It's a lot of it's just other nitpicky stuff where like this person says that the character doesn't do this, and then like 5 seconds later they complain that the character does exactly what they claimed they don't do. Or people will talk about how the pacing is too fast, but then they sit there and say, I wish they had done this, or this, or this, or this. And then they sit there listing off things that would make the season even more complicated and, like, even more cramped and more fast-paced. So, like, I don't know if what their issue is the fast pace or the fact that the show doesn't cover everything they want to in that fast pace. Which I think it's more the latter. But then, like, they're not really complaining about what the show does in the time it has. They complain about what they don't do in that time. Which speaks more towards actually, like, having good pacing if they're not actually complaining about what was covered. Because nobody's sitting there saying, we don't need to be spending this time with Serpentius by the end of the show because he ends up, like, a good boy. So nobody complains about that being like a distraction or like that could be cut or blah blah blah. But then people will look at a character like Baxter and say, oh, he didn't need to be in this season despite him playing like a pivotal role in the climax of the second season. So they obviously couldn't cut him entirely, and establishing him in season 2 in order to flesh him out in season 3 would be better character pacing and would give you a better opportunity to get to know the character when he's getting along with people, as opposed to the beginning of the show where he would just be combative. And it's not like we didn't get moments with him, it's just that we didn't get any character development with him. So, I don't know. There are like elements that people are like, why even include this if you're not going to go into it? And then come season 3, they'll be like, oh, well, this feels really rushed. Why didn't you give this more time? So it's like a damned if you do, damned if you don't situation. So. Alright, I think I should probably wrap up. I could sit here and repeat myself all night. I had a lot of fun hanging out with you, Steph. I hope you had a good night. Alright. Okay, it was great hanging out with everybody. I hope to see you guys tomorrow sometime. I'll go ahead and give a little bit more notice than I had tonight, because I wasn't even sure I was going to stream tonight. I'll see you guys tomorrow. Hope everyone has a good night and stays warm, because it's cold as fuck where I am and probably at least chilly where you are. So,